Hey y'all, anybody out there need their opera haunted? Sorry, that's dumb. My name's Zach, and I'm 9 to 5 gamer, and I am finally back doing some costuming projects. It's been a while. I am behind the 8 ball for sure. I've got 2 costuming projects that I'm working on for DragonCon, which is in September in Atlanta, about 10 weeks away from the time I'm recording this. So I've got a lot to do and not much time to do it in. So I'm going to be pedal to the metal the whole way, and I'm going to try and record as much of these projects as I can so that you guys can come along for the ride. You can see what I'm doing, learn what I learn as I go, because I'm definitely going to be learning a lot through these. The first project is what I'm going to be starting on today in this first video. I'm doing it as sort of a commission, although I'm not getting paid. I'm doing it as a favor just for fun, but it's for somebody else. They're doing a costume from the 70s hit, well, okay, I don't know if it's a hit, but the 70s action sci-fi film Flash Gordon. If you haven't seen it, it's great. Soundtrack by Queen, it's awesome. But they're going to be doing a costume of Klytus, one of the bad guys in Flash Gordon, who has a really distinctive look. He's got big black robes and a golden mask, which is obviously why I have this. So what I'm going to do is kick the camera down to the workstation really quick, and we will get started. Alright, so let's get started. First, I'm going to walk you through all the materials that I'm going to be, well, most of the materials, I should say, that I'm going to be using for this project. First, you've seen already, this is the cheapo plastic mask that I picked up at the craft supply store. It doesn't fit exactly right. Of course, I have a giant head, so it definitely doesn't fit me. But it doesn't sit as close to the face as I would like to have the eyes look correct. So there's gonna be some modification happening there to get it to sit a little closer. I might take away some of the side here, just so that it sits a little bit more flush. Also, I'm going to be cutting a big chunk off the bottom here, basically from the chin up to the base of the nose and back down again. Removing that entire piece because Klytus in the movie has a jaw piece that actually moves up and down when he talks. So that's going to be probably the most complicated part of this, is rigging that up so that it's going to move correctly. How I'm going to attach it to the chin, I'm not exactly sure yet. We'll figure it out. I'll probably also need to do some work on the inside, maybe put some bit of foam padding in there or something, make this more comfortable. It's one of the things you should always think about when you're building a costume. Yeah, you want it to look right, but comfort is really, really important. You're going to be wearing this for hours in a crowded, usually hot space. You need to be comfortable. Other stuff I've got here, just some thick paper, cardboard material. I'll be using this to do some templating here as we go. Now, these 2 things I'm really excited about. These are 2 different types of thermoplastic. The brown one is Worbla, probably the better known of the 2, and then the blue one here is Wonderflex. The white one, excuse me, is Wonderflex. I got both of these from cosplaysupplies.com. They do a little combo that's these 2 pieces together, kind of a trial pack, and that's why I got them, is really just to do a trial. But honestly, there's probably enough here to do what I want to do with this mask piece, so we should be good to go there. Now, the idea behind these is that you heat them up, and when you do, there's basically some binding agents in there and stuff, and you can flex it and position it, and when they cool again, they dry like hard plastic. Now, right now, they're kind of flimsy, so I'm curious to see, surely they're not going to be this flimsy when they dry. I don't know. That's what we're going to find out a little bit today as I work. But the reason I'm using this rather than just foam or paper to build this up, is that I am looking for that harder consistency, that plastic-like strong consistency, so that this feels a little bit more weighty, feels more like metal rather than painted foam or painted paper. And I could just fold, some of this sort of material over and cut all the pieces I need out of that. But I don't know if it's going to hold up the way that I want it to, although it might. Who knows? As we work with these materials, maybe that's going to be the way to go. The finishing touch on the outside is going to be this stuff. Woo! Oh, you can even see me in there. Whoa! This is just some thin paper with very shiny gold metal attached on the facing there. Klytus' mask is a shiny gold. It's a little lighter in color than this, and almost duller, but this is the closest I could find in my shirts today. I'll probably be looking around a little bit more online I might be able to find something that color matches a little bit better, but that's a finishing touch that'll lay on top, so it's not a big deal. Should be easy to change direction there later on. So what I thought I would do to start with today is the thermoplastic. Like I said, I've never used this stuff before, and I want to just do some quick experiments with it and see how it's going to fit together, how it's going to work. I might also spend some time cutting the mask and seeing how that's going to cut, just experimenting with that. Okay, so to start out with, I am going to just cut a little bit out of this. I'm not even worried that it's too straight. Basically, I'm just looking for a bit of a backing that I can use to make a template. That's all. So just a little piece like that. No need to waste any more. And then I'm going to see how well this bends. There we go. So not too bad. So basically, I'm just going to make a little angle, a little 90-degree or maybe a little less angle, and then I'm going to lay both of the thermoplastics on top and see how they work and how they lay on this stuff. Yeah, but even looking at that, I mean, if I had to use this as my material on this mask, that would probably work okay. But there are some creases on there that I don't really like. We could, of course, we're covering it with that paper, so we'll probably cover all that anyway, but who knows. Anyway, let's get started. So what I'm going to do is cut a similar sized piece of Worbla. And we'll do the same thing with the Wonderflex. Okay, we have all three pieces now. Bend that back a little bit. And next we're going to need the heat gun. Alright, so we've got our heat gun. It's just a little cheapo when I picked up at Harbor Freight, but it does the job, at least so far, for everything I needed it for. It's done beautifully. Got a couple different temperature settings. I don't actually remember off the top of my head the temperatures specifically, but it's hot and hotter, basically. Think of this like a hair dryer, except that it spits out less air, but the air that comes out is a lot higher temperature. And this is what we're going to be using to heat up our thermoplastic. Actually, you know, and I'm sitting here looking, I can already see this cardboard. It's wiggly and it's coming apart, delaminating, so material like this obviously I could not use. I know that there's foam core and some other stuff that might work for this costume, but this is again why I'm leaning more towards the thermoplastic. Also, like I said, to just get experience using it, because it's interesting. So, anyway, without further ado, we'll kick on this is the low setting. Okay, and then I'll tell you what I'm going to do is pick it up with my tweezers here, and we'll heat it and see what happens. Like I said, I've never used this stuff before. Very curious to see. Ooh, starting to flop a little bit already, so that's a good sign. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, it's super floppy. And I know that this stuff will bind to itself to a certain extent. So I don't want it to touch. Alright, that's probably hot enough. I'm going to turn that off. And then let's just lay it over. So, is that super hot to the touch? Nah, not too bad. Okay. And we'll just kind of, a little warm. I'm going to coat that down onto our template. And I tell you what, while we're waiting for that to cool down, I'll just cut another piece and we'll just use a second little template, because I can always get more paper materials, no worries. Bend that similar to the first, and let's try the Wonderflex. Grab it with our tweezers, on the low temp. Now, what I've read about this stuff is, you know, even you can even just dip it in hot water for a little while, and it'll loosen up nicely that way. There we go. It's already gotten wobbly. So it's easy stuff to work with, and so far, I mean, it seems pretty straightforward. I guess that's probably hot enough. So, oops, daisy. We'll lay it on our little cheapo template here. Okay. Shape it. Ouch. A little hot, but that's okay. Not too noticed just there, just with my fingers, I was able to crimp an interesting little edge there, which kind of an effect you don't get with that cardboard with paper, but could be a really nice effect. Oh wow, actually I can almost mold it as I pinch. It'll be hard to see on the camera, I apologize, but I can almost pinch it together and get a little sharp peak on the edge that looks more like a forged piece than just a folded piece of cloth, so that's cool. Can I do that on the Worbla? I don't know, it's probably, yeah, it's already, yeah, the Worbla's already cold to the touch. So, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we'll let that cool off, and while that cools, we'll peel this Worbla off. I know I've seen some people, when you do thicker pieces, you want to use cardboard or something as a backing on this, which makes a lot of sense just to give it a little bit more strength, where you can do multiple layers of this material. I'm hoping that I won't have to do that. There we go. Come off. Okay, so that's, feels like it almost has the consistency of like a tortilla chip. It feels like if I pinch it, it's going to snap. Feels similar to when it was before I heated it. Actually, no. It's actually stiffer than it was before I heated it up, so I think. So that's good. That'll hold its shape, but that definitely feels, you know, if these two were details on the mask, pushing against one versus the other, this one's definitely, you know, we'll do it down here, you know, the Worbla gives way a lot less. Now there's two sides. There's kind of a rougher side and a shinier, smoother side, and I probably should have left the shinier side on the outside, in case you want to paint or sand, I guess. But again, I'm going to be covering this with paper, so it's not a huge deal there. That's interesting. Let's see, the Wonderflex seems like it's also, no, the tip is still very loose. I don't know if that needs more cure time. Ooh, it's stuck to the paper. Ooh, it's stuck to the paper really good. Actually, where it's stuck to the paper, it's actually really pretty stiff. The edges are still really soft. Even, I mean, it feels like it's room temperature at this point. It's still really quite malleable, whereas the Worbla is getting stiffer and stiffer as it cools more. I don't know, we'll let that Wonderflex sit a little bit longer, but that feels, if it's not going to get much stiffer than that, then that's going to be useless by itself. It's going to have a strong backing, and if it's got a strong backing, what's the point of using it to begin with, other than the material feel? I don't know, I might need to experiment with that more. I know I can heat it back up and it'll probably peel right back off again. Alright, so I've given it a little bit more time to see if the Wonderflex would stiffen up a little bit more, and it has ever so slightly, but it's still really, really malleable, where it's not touching the cardboard. Where it is touching the cardboard, the whole sheet is pretty stiff now, which is cool. But this stuff down there, as soon as it peels off somewhat, it definitely feels like it needs that backing. So what I'm going to do now is heat it back up really quick and see if I can, how easily it's going to come back off. I'm going to flip it over because you've got that weave on one side, the other side's smooth, so maybe I need to get the weave touching the cardboard, perhaps. I'm not 100% sure. I didn't look into Wonderflex much, to be honest with you. I know it's very similar to Worbla. I've seen a lot more tutorials and stuff on Worbla than I have Wonderflex, so that's why I'm not 100% sure if I'm using it correctly. Ouch, it's hot. Ooh, now it's actually tearing. Okay, so yeah, that's melted and it's just tearing off. I don't think I'm using it right. I'm not sure. I might need to experiment some more with Wonderflex. And I've definitely not gotten something right on that. The Worbla, however, is still nice and strong. Got a plasticky feel to it, like a thin plasticky feel, but that's really all I need. And that's going to be easy to kind of build a template and build that into the right shape. I'd like to get a sharper crease on that edge, which I should be able to. In fact, you know what? Let's see if we can do that really quick, because I think I can reheat the Worbla too. Let's try it. Let's see what happens here on screen as we heat it. Is it going to fall? Alright, look at that. So it has, once it's gotten hot, it is fully floppy and malleable again. So that's really cool. So what I'm going to do this time, you know what, we'll lay it the other direction too. I'll lay it with the, it's stuck to it. We'll lay it with the rough side down this time. And definitely a little hot. And then I'm going to try what I did on the WonderFlex and get a little bit of a more of a sharp edge, if I can, just by pinching the edge together. Almost like clay or something. And that way, yeah, there we go. So that's raised up off the cardboard, because the cardboard has that really round edge. This now has a little bit of a sharper edge, which will look better, I think, on the finished product. So I'm going to let that cool off, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so it looks like our Worbla is mostly cool. It's still warmer than room temperature, but I think it's enough to where we can, oh yeah, and it, cardboard really actually peels off nicely off the back. Oof, except in the corner where it's kind of pinched together. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I left a little bit of residue in the bottom, but again, it's held its shape nicely. It's, you know, actually surprisingly hard to push around that corner. It's still, like I said, slightly warm, so I'm sure once it's fully cool, especially if I put it in some cold water or something, it's going to be really solid. But it held that corner nicely, and that's the effect I'm looking for. That should be good. Alright, so I tell you what we'll do, as long as we're sitting here and we've got the materials in front of us, I'm going to take some of this gold paper here, and I'm going to cut a little bit of this too, because this isn't too expensive, so I can always get more of it if I need more. Cut that off, and we'll see how this lays over top. Just like so. Yeah, a little bit of glue should hold that on there. Obviously, bend it a little bit more. The crease looks okay though. I was worried a little bit about that crease when you bent the edge, that it might look a little funny, but it should look fine. We'll need to make sure the Worbla is really nice and flat though before we lay that on. But when I originally came up with the idea of using this gold foil, I thought it was going to be a lot thinner paper than this. I might still look and see if I can find something almost the consistency of aluminum foil that could wrap on it. The problem with that though is it's going to show any little crink or crease. With this, it really holds its flatness nicely, so this stuff might be the better way to go, just to make it hold up longer. Alright, I think that's going to wrap it up today. Short video, just to get started. Like I said, I was just really experimenting with these materials. Really happy with Worbla. I'm really impressed, even with this little dinky thing that I did without even really trying to make it look good. I'm not saying it looks good, but it doesn't look bad. It's holding its shape. It's stronger than I expected. I don't even think I'll need a backing, you know, to build up some pieces on top of this mask. The gold looks nice-ish. I think it's going to work. I might still see if I can get a better color match, but aside from that, I think it's going to do good. WonderFlex, I'm missing something. I'm not sure what I did wrong, or maybe it just needs that backing on there. I don't know. I need to look into that more and check out some more tutorials to get more familiar with this. It seems like a good material, but I don't think it's going to be the best fit for what we're doing here. So join me next time. We're going to go whole hog onto the mask itself. I'm going to start laying out the templates on it. I'm going to cut this piece off, and we'll get that fitted nicely and ready to use. But thanks again for joining me, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Upside down wave. Hey, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and to see more from us, check out our website at thefoundrycast.com, and you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks for watching.